So I pick up the phone. It rings. I pick up the phone, I don't know, last Monday, Tuesday, something like that. Mr. Beck, yes, this is the White House operator. The president would like to speak to you. Is this a convenient time? And I wanted to say,
no.
Does anyone ever say no? No, it's really not a convenient time.
I'm on the crapper. Give me 15 minutes.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think even if you're on the crapper, I think you might just take it.
Why is there such an echo on your voice? Where are you right now?
So the president and I spoke about him. I told him how grateful this audience is for him, how he was the only guy who was standing up and did what he said he would do. He was not in a good mood. He was frustrated with McConnell, total waste.
He's been pretty public about that one.
Yeah. He is, he's like, if the GOP doesn't stand up, if they certify this election without anyone even looking into it, he's like, Glenn, everything was a technicality with courts. He said they didn't actually go in and listen to the evidence. Only the legislatures have listened to the evidence in Arizona, in Pennsylvania, and in Georgia. He said the House members in those states are calling and saying you can't certify this because they're the only ones that have actually been presented the true evidence, and it has to be looked into. And the problem is January 20th. January 20th is hard, fast in the Constitution, and they were smart to do it because if that date and the directions of what happens on that date weren't in the Constitution, we probably wouldn't have had a George Bush administration. We probably wouldn't have had any Republicans in the last 30 years because all they had to do is challenge. But the Constitution says they shall be seated on January 20th. The president shall be, and it says lots of options. You can have the people vote, but if that's in question, then it can go to the House and the Senate, and they can vote. I mean, you guys have to figure it out. But January 20th, somebody is sitting in the White House as the president of the United States. So that's why they are asking now, and I urge you to reach out to your congressman and your senator. There is no way this is going to pass, but it should be lockstep for all of the Republicans. All of the Republicans. There's nothing wrong with a 10-day audit. How is that not even considered? Why is that crazy? We know the president has to be seated by January 20th. And I said to the president, I feel for you. I don't accept these votes as being fair. But I don't know what else to do. And I said, we've got to fight for the next 4 years. And he said, I'm not willing to talk about the next 4 years. I'm worried about the next few weeks. And I said, okay. He said, the fight's not up. I mean, the guy is not done fighting. And he said, I will not concede. Never will I concede.
You get the sense that he believe. I mean, I'm asking you to read into this. So
I don't know. So I know what you're going to ask.
Yeah. Does he believe he's going to be president on January 21st?
I think he is such a Norman Vincent Peale guy and so disciplined in that, that, yeah, I think he believes that.
He's not willing to go. He's not willing to look at the worst case scenario.
No, not because that would. I mean, Norman Vincent Peale was the power of positive thinking. And once you put in the seed of doubt, that grows, and then you're not of one mind. And if you're a real student of that, it's absolute, and that's Donald Trump. It's absolute. I don't think until January 19th, or January 20th at 8 a.m., he is going to.
He's going to keep pushing this.
He's just going to keep pushing until the very last second, and then he will not concede. I think he will leave.
Yeah, right.
But he won't. He's never going to say he lost because he doesn't believe it.
And he said
honestly,
that publicly. He's never going to say he lost. Yeah, I mean, he said that publicly.
Yeah, and I don't know why that's so crazy to the left. Hillary Clinton, Al Gore, hello,
Stacey Abrams.
Yeah. I mean, you've got quite a record. Quite a record of saying that you didn't lose. So I'm just tired of the double standard here, and I will tell you if the Republicans can't say yes, it's very late, but this is constitutional. If they can't bring themselves to say 10 days, just an auditor, we all are very aware. January 20th. We're very aware of that. There's no out. But until January 20th, let's do an audit. Because if those votes do exist, well, then we're probably going to seat Joe Biden, but we'd have another conversation. If those votes don't exist, well, then at least we can have the other half of the country say, well, they looked into it and, it was open. And it was transparent.
But to be honest here, that there's no way half the country that believes that there's fraud here is not going to go through a 10-day audit and say, well, I guess Joe Biden won. Like, that's not happening here, right? Like, both sides are convinced as to what is true, and no one shall be moved. I think that is the absolute truth at this point already.
I have to tell you, I disagree.
You have way more faith in where we are than I do then. Because I don't think anybody's moving off of this no matter what. I think people made up their minds that night and will never be convinced otherwise.
Well, if that's the way people are, I mean, then there's no reason in discussing anything at any time with people.
Well, it's why.
If I could prove to you, I know you believe in God, and I believe in God. But if I could prove to you,
right,
with real evidence and proof,
right,
that you would look at and accept as real evidence and credible. So I can't think of what it would be.
It's a mythological situation.
Correct.
Right.
But if I could,
right, of course, I would believe things that I believed were proved to me. Right.
Right. And you would only be a reasonable human being if you would say, well, let me think about that. Mm-hmm. Let me look at it. Really think about it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you're unwilling to look at the fact that this was stolen, or look at the fact that it wasn't stolen when real evidence is presented.
Yeah.
There's no point. There's no point.
There's no point. And I think with a lot of people now, that is true. There is no point. But that's not everybody. I mean, we've seen, crazy conspiracy theories that were believed by wide numbers of people, and then that fade away over time. Going to, for example, was it 2/3 of Democrats believed that 9/11 was an inside job because they didn't like George Bush, and over time those numbers have cratered because it was really just a partisan reaction, and eventually people don't believe that anymore. They might still think he did a bad job, but they don't think he was responsible and it was an inside job.
Right, but on that one there wasn't anything.
Yeah, no,
there wasn't anything.
Right,
it was steel doesn't melt. Shut up. How do you make it then? How do you make it? Do we dig giant steel beams out of the side of a mountain?
They actually grow on steel trees, but whatever.
Trees.
No, I just think that there's a certain amount of partisanship and tribalism that is going to lock in a lot of social media types to never look at the opposite side of it. I mean, look, it's our job to come in here every day and try to look at this stuff and figure out which ones of these stand up and which ones don't. We've told you on the air that there are parts of the election fraud theory that have not stood up. We've told you about
Correct.
Them. We've also told you ones that have real questions.
Yes.
Right? So, I think I think reasonable people do that, and it's why you go to trusted sources to try to sort this stuff out. It's just that I don't think that there is a likelihood of making a huge dent with an audit type of situation in 10 days. Everyone's just going to say the same thing they're saying now.
Right, I know.
They've had months already to do this stuff.
Here's the problem. I do believe, I talked to Congressman Chris Stewart. He was on just a few minutes ago. Mm-hmm. He's sincere.
He's more optimistic than I would be.
And he's sincere. He's like, look, the American people have to just see the evidence. We just have to put it out. You can't cover stuff up. If it is, great. If it isn't, great. But we have to see it. And I really, truly believe that he would look at things and say, as would I, as would you, and say, okay, well, there's not enough here. There's not enough here. Or there is enough here for one way or the other. And we would honestly look at it. But the problem is that people don't trust people in power anymore to actually mean what they say and say what they mean. It doesn't matter.
No, it's true.
Forget about the American people won't change their mind. The system of the parties has no credibility because there's no one with an honest bone in their body that is leading these tribes. Who do you know would stand up and go, you know what, I was wrong on that? Until there's leadership that would actually say, you know what, they showed that to me. I mean, look at what happened with Adam Schiff. They still are saying those things were true. Verified nonsense. That's the problem. That's why people are in these tribes, and there's no moving them because they no longer trust the people in charge of the system.